will be charged, sorry? And where do you get the charges? I'll give this to Mr. Ndirangu to respond.
In regard to charges, as you are aware that we are supposed to involve you when we are drafting AIC regarding the charges. So we have scheduled this. It will be coming very soon. That will be developing an AIC to amend the one we have regarding the charges so that we put the module, so that you will be able to pay per module. Unlike today, where we have combined that you pay 3,000 for 3 modules, so we'll be able to break it down and it will be very easy for you to see how much you pay for each module. So that is coming. We will publish the AIC after consultation with the user, who are you yourself.
A follow-up question for you, Mr. Ndirangu, is will there be any cost in transiting to the new B1, B2 license?
Yes, there will be cost. The same cost we normally have for the when you are being issued with a license, we are going to maintain the same 3,000 per the current AIC.
The next question is on who will assess the assessors. I'll give that to Ndirangu again.
The assessors, the way we have seen, we have different categories of assessors. So the assessors, first, the requirement is for the AMO, ATO, to amend the MPM, include the qualification on how you can qualify an assessor. Then those amendments will come to the authority. We will review the amendment procedure, the amended procedure on how you approve the assessor. And once we are satisfied with the procedure, then you can go ahead and appoint an assessor and forward to the authority, the same way we do for management staff. Then eventually there will be a letter with a final approval from the authority on the approval for the assessor. This will be for the interim or the initial, maybe for the next 5 years. Thereafter, after the system have matured enough, we will do like the rest of the world, leave it to the operator. But for the initial, it will be the authority. After you have appointed as per your program. Remember, the responsibility lies with the applicant, AMO. You do hold a lot of responsibility. If you appoint a fully qualified, because you know yourself, sometimes you give us feedback that this person is not qualified, but you're the one who appointed. If you appoint a qualified person that you know will do the job, then for us, we'll take him through and see it's true, he is qualified, and then we give them the approval. And that product is the product you'll have for the rest of the many years to come in Kenya in regard to engineers.
Thank you, John. We are going to tackle 2 questions at once. There's a question on NDT, sheet metal, and welding, and how it will be catered for on new licensing system.
NDT and other specialized skills. Remember, we share the approving authority with other bodies. So currently, we have created a provision that will be like the way it has been before. We will issue the special authorization to them. However, some of the approval will go to the AMO and others to individual.
Thank you. That addresses the question on special authorization. The next question is on the FAA license, and the question reads, will FAA licenses be validated? There are no type ratings on FAA licensing. How will FAA licensing be converted? This is by one individual. A different person asked similar questions, slightly worded different. It reads, FAA licenses do not have categories or type rating. How will that validation work? In the USA, there is no avionics category, and transponders are certified by an organization, not an individual. Can this experience qualify for validation or conversion?
We will not mention FAA when answering this question. We will mention other CAEs that probably will fall outside what we are looking for. Remember, ICAO mandates us to accept and recognize all the licenses issued by contracting states. However, the reason why we, as Kenya, moving toward the new licensing system is because our people have been disadvantaged when working outside our territory. And therefore, as the rest of the world, majority of the world did, the management decided to move toward a system that is easily recognized. So in the documents that we have developed, we have clarified that we will recognize all the licenses. However, for you to benefit, there will be those who will benefit and those who will probably feel a bit disadvantaged. Licenses that we cannot be able to convert or translate or understand, equate them to our system, however, they will fall short of our requirement. And then they have to go through the system we have created in the TGM. So they are not left behind, but they will have to go through a different system, which is examination system that with all modules, unlike other will get the benefits.
There is a question here. Thank you, Dave, John. There's a question that reads, an engineer converts to a foreign license and managed to get their license. With the new license obtained in foreign country, he adds a type rating. How can that license be endorsed to the Kenyan license? Is it aircraft endorsement or subject to test again?
I'm sure if you converted or you did a conversion or you did an examination system which met the criteria of B1, B2 system, and then you had a type rating endorsed on it, that was after attending a training that had theory, examination, practical, and assessment. You will submit the same certificate. A type course, other than for the purposes of releasing an aircraft, the initial type course does not expire. So still the same type course if it meets the whole requirement and the manufacturer does not give an expiry date, or the training organization, for the purposes of endorsement, you still submit the same. Remember, we have said this for endorsement, the initial. Recurrency are still the same the way they are.
Thank you, John. There's a question on elaboration on how aircrafts above 13,610 kgs will be endorsed on the AMEL. That's question one. How far back will the above be allowed or backdated? And finally, will the initial authorization issuing organization be requested to validate number 2 above? I'll let Alex take that question.
Good morning again. Welcome those who came late. And as we answer this question is that the A2 will the item on A2 that talks about the greater than 13,610 requirements to be endorsed by the AMO will not be there anymore. So it means all aircrafts will be indicated, or rather will appear on your license. Now, how is it going to be done? The first thing is you need to apply for the basic license. So you need to get your A and C first as an equivalent, so it means you need to get a B1 or a B2. Thereafter, you'll apply for those endorsements of the big aircrafts above 13,610. So by application, it means you need to submit your certificate and a justification on the skill and the experience. That means if you did your training some years back, there must be a training you did. Just to pick up from where John has stopped, you must be having a license, or rather a certificate. So you'll submit that. You must have been working on it for the last 30 years, so that covers your experience. Then we'll be able to do that kind of endorsement. So there must be an application. How far? As far as when you are trained, provided you have the documentation. Will the initial authorization issued by organization request to validate? Yes and no. The question here is, there are some organizations which issue authorizations without necessarily have done a type course. Is it true? Hello, people, is it true? Yes, I saw it somewhere else in some organizations. So you got an internal authorization, but without having covered a full type course. So those ones will not be recognized. That you must have done a type training for you to have an endorsement. As per the annex, an endorsement must be accompanied by a training. Somebody must have done a training. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for that question. The next questions we are going to tackle, we'll tackle them as one. Some of you are asking, what is category A and what is category C? And what is required to get category A and category C?
Yeah, thank you. During the presentation, I had indicated a category A. And category A, I said, is for light maintenance. For those who are already licensed with a B1, you realize that if you do a B1 examination, during the issuance of the B1, automatically you'll be given an A license, depending on the category that you are doing. But we have exams for Cat A. So if you got your engineers, in quotes technicians, and you want them to just do line maintenance and light duty, we have an examination so they can apply to do a category A. In quotes, for those who do some, like it's a A rating or transit, it's category A. So that's why it's there. So people, yes, can be given a license, which is a lower version of a B1 that is called A, 1.1, A, 1.2, or something like that. Unfortunately, there is no divisions for B2. B2, you must be a B2. There is no divisions. But for A, you can do that. Thank you. Oh, yeah, category C. Now, category C will be the person releasing the aircraft from base. The person must have been, in the TGMs that we'll be sending, there's one called CAMEL, or rather the manual. It has defined who is a Cat C holder. He must have worked as a B1 or a B2 for a certain number of years. By extension, because these are people releasing from base, we will require a secondment from their quality, that now we got this number of people, they have been qualified by the QA to be issuing Cat C from base. In other states, they are so-called CMR certifying staff. So those are the Cat C who will be there. This information is documented in the CAMEL, and we will require the quality managers, when we'll be having a meeting, we will have now, you need to change some of, not really to change, to amend some of your procedures to be able to capture these. How are you going to qualify these people before they come to the CA to get a Cat C? But remember, this Cat C also will be for specific aircrafts.
Before I let you go, there's another question similar to that, and somebody is asking, EASA B1, B2 has 17 modules. How can A and C compare to an EASA B1, B2? And there is some modules like 3, 4, 5, which are not included in the KCA AML system.
Now, this one is in our new issue, all the modules, the ones that you are talking about in EASA, the module 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 17, they have been included. It's more of a replica of what happens in EU and other states. So yes, we got those modules in our system. So if you are applying for B1, then you have to do the B1 related modules, which have also been defined in the manuals.
There's an interesting one. I think Durango will take that. How is the authority dealing with human factors interference during the licensing process, as some stages like skill test and orals require people to discuss, which might lead to biasness? We're taking all the questions. We are not biased.
Okay. On how the authority is tackling that, number one, we have reduced the essay questions from the ones that we used to do 6 of them. And the reason why we have reduced, other than also human factor, is that from the training on examination setting, is that essay questions are not an effective way of examination. or gauging the knowledge. Basically, we use essay questions to see that an engineer can be able to, can express himself technically. Therefore, we have reduced the number of questions to eliminate the human factor. Number two, on regard to orals, there is no oral examination. It's only, I know what probably some of us mean when it comes to oral, is that when we are doing skill test, there is a question that need you to describe a system and another question that require you to demonstrate. However, with the new licensing system, as the manager had explained earlier, there will be no skill test. Skill test, we are doing it, there will be no skill test done, for example, by the authorities per se. We came up with skill test to close a gap. That gap eventually, if you look at our logbook, section 2, it deals with the skill, practical skill. So on how, probably, because we are throwing it back to the industry, how an AMO, an ATO will be able to deal with the human factor, biasness. I think the manager called it ethics. It will be up to the management personnel. But we have an avenue, and we have always had that avenue. If at any point when doing a skill test or an oral examination, you feel that you are not served appropriately, you come forward, and many of you have come, and in most cases we'll assign you another designated examiner or another assessor in the presence of an inspector from authority.
Thank you, John. Here's another question on type rating for licensed engineers who did their type training earlier, before the practical experience. I don't know what the question is. Maybe we'll take that a bit later. How will engineers get type rated on small aircraft?
We have developed TGM that will guide the type rating, how it will be administered. However, in regard to, like what I mentioned, the initial type course does not expire. If you had an endorsement, whether it's on any aircraft, that will be transferred into your new license, regardless how it was done. For those who did that type course, and probably it was before the AIC that we issued on the requirement for theory assessment, skill and assessment, theory examination, skill and assessment. You probably had DG mentioning that there may be grandfathers like coming, but that will be up to the management. We will develop a document for them to approve, and then we can do grandfathering on those areas.
Okay, the other question is, how will the assessors be designated and appointed? About the validity of a license, why not move to 5 years validity as opposed to 2 years? And yeah.
The current regulation we have is 2018. But if, for example, as DG said, before we roll it out before end of the month, we have the new regulation, 2024 or 2025, we will issue to 5 years because that is what is in our regulation. And for the validity of examinations or validity of the exams, that if you sit an exam today, that exam result is valid for 10 years. So within 10 years, you must have finished the entire modules, the 17 of them applicable to you. I've seen another question regarding how many modules you can tackle. We are not going to say that you have to do module 1 first or module 10. It's up to the applicant to choose. But the duration due to human factor that you have raised, no, you can take a number of modules, combine them, but you should not exceed 3 hours per day. So we will limit depending on the hours. So 3 hours, I know we have one module with about 3 hours and 15 minutes, but that is the maximum you can do in each day.
Okay, there is another question on assessors, and the question is, can the authority allocate assessors to the training institutions so it is seamless? The second one is the training curriculum, if modular, have the assessors gone through the modules so at completion the license is issued, as this will ensure graduates are licensed?
We hope that the ATO will come forward to get an approval, and some of the requirement is for them to have the assessors. But it will be case by case. If you look at Kenya Airways, it's only probably, I don't know how they have looked at it, they probably have met all these requirements. They have a training institution, and the assessors they have or the instructors they have are still the same people who release the aircraft. So I've seen them doing an assessment from training, and then they go to the field where they do the skill assessment, experience assessment. So based on the setup of an ATO, we will approve you based on that. However, a disclaimer, we cannot, or the authority may not be able to appoint assessor for you. Remember, those are business entities. We don't want to have issues of where probably we are going beyond our mandate, interfering with how the organization is run.
Okay, there's a question about the license, the new license. And the new license, is it only used in Kenya or it's valid in some other jurisdictions?
Licenses are issued by an authority which has a territorial restriction. So if we issue a license in Kenya, we are issuing that license to our people that are maintaining aircraft registered in Kenya. However, as we said, ICAO through Annex 1 do mandate that contracting state, Kenya being one, can recognize, accept licenses issued by any other state. So currently, we know our license has been accepted in many states. We have our engineer all over the Africa, Asia. So yes, based on individual country.
Okay, there's a question on partial type ratings, and it says, on the type ratings, will the current type of aircraft that I have type rated be included automatically on my new AMEL?
If you have it in your license, yes. If you don't have it in your license, it will meet the current requirements.
On type ratings again, will it remain as is currently, where one can type rate an engine as a standalone, or will the airframes cover the engines if the initial training covered engine practicals?
Type ratings, we mentioned that it will be airframe and engine together. So if, for example, you have 737, 700, 800, we'll put a bracket, indicate fitted with CFM 56 engine. Then if it's avionic, we'll indicate at the tail-head avionic system.
What happens to candidates who are pursuing the certification and not attain the licenses yet? Is there a validity period?
The individuals who are probably have partial pass on the current licensing system, they have an option to continue with that examination system or choose to proceed to modular examination. However, new applicant will have to go through the new modular examination.
Okay, on your screen, on our screen, there is a QR code. What we want to encourage is we don't want to just talk. You guys are listening. We want to have an engagement where you say something and then we respond. But meanwhile, if I've not read your question, kindly scan the QR and put your question there. We will respond to you. For now, we're going to have a one-on-one session where we will engage. If you have a question right away, you raise your hand, I'll give you a microphone, we will respond. Somebody who haven't answered their question yet.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you realize that we got little time. We don't have a lot of time. We got more than maybe 50 questions here. Some are individual questions. Individual to mean they're only affecting you. For example, you did your skill test, you don't have results. Those appear to be individual based. Those questions which we have answered in general in the presentation. So if we will not be able to repeat because of time, but we will, as this one goes, we have a committee that will be able to look into all these questions, whether individual or not. Ladies and gentlemen, if your question is individual based, then we expect you to have your contact so that we can contact you individually. If it is generic, then we'll be able to sort it from here.
Okay, and just to advise, we have done documents. That is the CAMEL. We have the procedures manuals. If you go through those, I see most of these questions will be answered on that. And our Google document is going to be live, so you can ask your question not even today, tomorrow, the day after. We will give you feedback. But once you get access to our technical guidance material that we've given to the industry, that is CAMEL, most of your questions will be addressed there. All right? Again, I'll pose the question. Who has a burning question that we can respond to?
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know whether it's a question, it's something I would like to propose. There are those who are post holders, and by virtue of their positions, they cannot release aircraft. It becomes very awkward when you're applying and you're asked to say when you last signed off an aircraft, and you cannot sign, especially the people in the quality assurance and some accountable managers. I would like to propose that maybe those who have licenses, their licenses are sort of incubated so that they don't have to go through the rigorous process of renewal whilst they are still in those positions. And maybe when they release, they need to use their licenses after vacating those positions, they can have them, given back to them. The reason I'm asking this is that, number one, when you're answering that question, I don't know whether it's still there, you probably are not answering correctly. And number two is you're not using the license.
Thank you, Bonafred. Number one, we are hoping we get the new regulation out, because in that regulation we have removed the requirement of quality manager to hold a license. It's an option, so it's not a must. So we will have professionals sitting there doing the right job without thinking on when to go and release an aircraft. Accountable manager, we don't have restriction. It's only a problem, most of the cases, they don't want to get dirty, but they can release. In regard to the question, we have amended the application form. However, it's a requirement from Annex 1 that for renewal, even for the authorization, before you renew the authorization, is that a certifying engineer should have had an experience of 6 months within 24 months. So we hope our regulation will fix that. We don't want to see heavyweights sitting in quality departments. We want them to go and help us to maintain safety in the workshops and in the hangars.
Thank you, John. The question our senior because he's really our senior. Mr. Fred Oporta has asked is quite a weighty one. So I will request our director to maybe give us more response to that.
Thank you, Mercy. I want to support my team. We are saying we all have answers. We want to help. What Fred has just asked, one thing John has said is the new regulations coming. But again, we will share that CAMEL, the Kenya Aircraft Maintenance Engineers Licensing Manual. You will see in there that renewal of licenses, regardless, whether you are a post holder or not, but you are a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer, you will renew without those conditions that we currently have. So that even if you are a quality manager, head of base, and any other post holder, you will just renew. But when it comes to certification, it is upon the AMO under that chapter 3.4 to qualify you to be a certifying staff. So those will be two different processes which we have introduced. Doesn't have to worry. Thank you.
Thank you, Dasa, for that clarification. Anybody else with a question? Okay.
I don't know whether it had already been discussed because I wrote it on one of those slips, unless it's coming later. But since I have the microphone, I can always ask. My concern is actually on attachees. You have some attachees who have been in some AMOs for more than a year and they are not employed. Because I noticed kwa your regulation, you require records of employment. That means you apply specifically when you are employed in a company. I don't know whether that is what it means. But the case I'm bringing forward is real. Currently we have so many attachees who are not employed, but they are working. Can they apply? And if they do apply, will the question of employment arise? Thank you. Maybe that one can be discussed because these are the owners of the AMOs. They can say what they would like those attachees to do. It's an open discussion. Thank you.
I think we have.
Thank you, Mr. Ayodi. They will take it up and then we will engage.
There was also another one. I don't know if I remember very well, before I left the CAA, we had been boggling on the question of A and B notices, which were not included in the regulation 2028. 2018. So I don't know whether they are now reinstated or how are we going about them. Thank you.
For A and B notices, we will give our able NCMC, but for the first question, we have already addressed that. We realized that our people are coming out of school when they are very sharp. We tell them to go and get experience, they start getting rust. And then you bring them to sit for exam, then we end up having not recommended. So that's why we said we have split the process into two. You do your examination as early as possible, when you feel you can. Then once you are done, for the issuance, remember we issue a license for you to release an aircraft, not to work with it in town, meaning you are already in an organization. Then you bring experience. That can be from internship, can be from any contracts, but we look whether we have that statement on the employment letter and remove it because it doesn't add up. We just need the logbook signed showing that proof of experience.
Let's have the A and B notices responded by our director.
Okay, thank you, Mercy. I want to refer to the application form with regard to internship attachees. There is an application form, a new one. You are all aware of Air 29 or L85 form, so we have amended. In that form, it does not include employment. It's just an applicant, and you will tick where you fall in there, so it's already catered for. Number 2 is the NB notices. With this revision, you see we are operating on the regulations 2013 currently. Now, then it means we upheld, we continued compliance, ensuring compliance with A notice and B notices. Now, as we move to 2018 regulations, we have since amended to align with what is going to come. So there are those things we have deleted. They will not exist. There are those that we have upheld to support this kind of system that we are going to introduce. So we assure you that as we are sharing the CAMEL manual, the AMEL manual, the circulars and orders, that those revised notices will be part of the package for your reading and feedback. Thank you.
To support
Thank
the director, maybe we need to inform you that the A and B notices, they were meant to close a certain gap. When we keep referring to CAMEL, it's a document that has, one, it tells you about the regulation. Number two, it gives you an acceptable method of compliance. And below it, it gives you, in the same paragraph, guidance material. So things that were covered in A1, A2, A3, all of them have been collapsed because of that document. And we are still doing the same to the other documents. Others, we know that they are superseded by the manufacturer. So those items, you can't prompt us, or in the near future, we will be amending them or removing them at all.
Thank you, John. I see we are leaning more towards my right. I think we're going to move to my left at least for 2-3 questions, then we'll go back.
Okay, this is a question I'm asking on behalf of someone, and it's an avionics question, which how are we going to get valid training for small aircrafts, and what group trainings are going to look like?
Thank you for the question. Before I answer the question, let me answer a generic question here, which is in most of the papers here. These guys, they're asking for those who are still doing their exams. Somebody who had already done an exam is on skill test. They are waiting to do their, maybe a repeat or something. So those will continue with the old system. So we are not going to stop them that they have to restart the exam. So that means if you are on your skill test examination, you will do your skill test. We will issue with that license. Then during the issuance of the license, then you'll be given the new license with limitations, the new system. I hope that's clear. It covers a lot of this, like 7 of them here. So the questions about small aircrafts, there is a requirement that all aircrafts need to be trained. You have to train on all aircrafts. In an event, there is an OEM whose aircrafts are flying in the world without having a training, then there is a question. Because our OEM is supposed to do what? To support his aircraft in terms of training. So that is a question that you need to bring it to the CAA. As an individual, we'll sort it out. But at the moment also, we recognize there are some who actually don't have. We, the CAA, have contacted the OEM and the regulatory bodies of those states, and they have given a sort of a response. So in case you have such a situation, the CAA have in their regulation the context of coming to do examination at the CAA. So you come to us, tell us you want to certify that small aircraft, it must be having a mother and a father somewhere, then we will be able to sort you out. If there is no training, you must prove otherwise. We will contact the OEM and the regulatory body of the state of design, then we'll be able to sort that out. So that, let's take it up as an individual issue.
Okay, I want to go online. We have questions online. And there's one that is asking, when is this transition taking effect? And the second one is, if I have an EASA B2 license and a Kenyan Category X instrument license, how will I convert my B2 license to include all the others? That is autopilot, electrical, etc.
Yeah, thank you. When is today? Today means we are going to roll out this, but after taking care of what all of you are saying. In other words, we have been talking about TGMs, the technical guidance materials. The book, it's called the CAMEL. There is another one for examination and all the AIC. So what will happen, ladies and gentlemen, after we collect all the information today, we'll have a committee to sit and look into what you have said. if what you have said is affecting the TGMs that we have drafted, then we will include whatever you are saying, if necessary, to the TGMs. After that is done, an approval will be done to these TGMs, then they will be published, and immediately we will start rolling out this system. So when is today, subject to finalizing the document. So the document finalization can take 7 days, 14 days, but when is today? Now, the B1, the person who has a B2, then they will need to convert back to our B2. So they have to go through a process of conversion. Him having a Kenyan license, we will give him a B2 with limitation of what he has in his Kenyan license. This we have already discussed. So in other words, we have already said there is no direct issuance of licenses. So the B2 in UK will not automatically be issued with a full B2 in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. I know it was on the slides. Maybe it's somebody who had missed the slides. We'll take another question from the left side. Okay, Mr. Walusala.
Thank you, Madam. Yeah, as you said, I'm AKA Walusala. Let me start so that I'm seen. The panelist, I have one concern. And this one is about quality in B2 licenses. From my experience as an examiner for now 2 years, there is a concern I've been struggling with. Now, if I'm examining somebody or a candidate who has autopilot, who is following autopilot, and then he doesn't have electrical, he doesn't have instruments. Normally I struggle because this guy is suspended. So my question or my concern is, are we going to make this new system copy and paste as by EASA, or we are going to modify as Kenyans? By the way, I have B2 complete Kenya. So that's why I'm talking about it. Now, my suggestion, why don't we make it like the one we were doing? The old, my seniors will agree with me. In the education system, we used to have mathematics and English compulsory. Why mathematics? It's a compounded subject. Why English? To give you expression is whatever you're doing. Why don't you go back? My seniors are here. I think I saw my CEO, Mr. Mtodori, and he's the one who examined me earlier, on the instruments. We have electrical as a compulsory, then instruments as a compulsory, so that when you apply the power, you are seeing what the power is doing in front of you before you go to other subjects. Because now you understand, if you power this system, then this is what you're going to get. That is my request. If we are going to implement, we have already implemented, I know, but if we can modify a bit, because as examiners, those who are B2 examiners are also struggling like me. You examine somebody who is suspended, having only radio or having only autopilot, then now when you ask about the cable, there's a struggle. How is this power getting into this system? Somebody struggles. He doesn't know the cable, even the fundamentals, he doesn't know. Then that one, I think we are not building this quality of our examination career we are looking for in this new system. Thank you.
Thank you. Allow me to start by trying to remove the myth that has been there about B1, B2, and EASA, UK, and all those things. I know majority of us have done it, but let's go to the basics. Examinations are done from a syllabus. And the syllabus, we all have the syllabus, similar syllabus. Then from the syllabus, you derive the questions. The same with the ATA chapters, that we have instruments, we have electrical, in different ATA. It's the same way Kenya was doing before. But then we realized, as you have rightfully said, we need to ensure that we empower, or we don't have to do section by section. However, if you look at the modules, if you are keen, you'll see it's in ATA chapters also. And even for avionics, the sections are independent for autopilot, instrument, and all that. So what we have done, and when we did a gap analysis, was to check on the syllabus and the number of questions. And those questions, they have level. So a person doing CAT, for example, category A, you'll find on the syllabus, the level of knowledge required is 1, 1, 1, and not 2. The more you see 2 and 3, the more it's heavier. So in our earlier system, the one we have, and I said that, it's over-examining. So when you have someone with EASA B1, B2, he should not tell you that he did more exam than you. You did everything. You covered all the syllabus. However, the presentation of the questions was made easier. In fact, what you'll see with the new system is we are going to have a huge increase in licensed engineers, because we are now serving you in pieces what you need. In regard to examination, why we are moving to new system is because of the deficiencies we have seen and the punishing of our people, not willingly, where we ask you to examine electrical, but you cannot separate electrical from another system. So who is suffering? Is this candidate? So the new system is to remove all those things, and my senior will add something on it.
Okay. So, Mr. Dick will be next, but I just wanted to say like this. Remember, previously, the authority had not defined which license to do first. You find there are some students who will start from A, it gets stuck, they go to electrical, it becomes difficult, they go to radio, they come back to C. So there was no that criteria. But the story you are talking about, it's covered under module 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's mandatory for everybody. We'll do that. As our next...
Thank you, Alex. Before we go to Mr. Dick, I want to address 2 questions. There's a question about KASOA, that we are now all under KASOA. We've always been under KASOA. In regards to examination, somebody is asking if I have a Uganda license and a Tanzanian license, do we now get automatic Kenyan license? And the answer for now is no. That agreement is not complete. It's still a process that is not complete, sorry. And you are required to continue complying with our regulations as is. Currently, you either do a validation or a conversion. I think that answers the question from KASOA. The other question, which I will give them quickly to answer before I go to Mr. Mutodori, is, as we move to new AMP, which I think we had answered, but I find this recurring mostly, we have our colleagues who are doing exams, ongoing exams. And the question is, as we move to new AML system, there are very many who had partial passes and it's timed out. It's timed out. What can be done to them to at least continue where they left, timed out exam? The other one is, there are still people who have started off or they are in the process of doing their exams. How long will they be given chances to continue with these examinations? This is a good writer because they have a request, apart from the questions, that their prayer is they are given an opportunity to continue where they can because of money, time spent.
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, there comes a time when the rule of law works. If you did your exam and you are timed out 3 years or whatever it is, the authority will not be able to handle that, unfortunately. Because if you are supposed to do your exams within a certain period and you didn't finish, it will be difficult for the authority because these are policies. Remember, these are policies, shall. But we still invite you to come to the authority, present your case, and you'll be given a solution. For those who are still continuing the examinations, I'd already said earlier, depending on where you have reached, still you'll use the old system. Before our senior mentions or asks a question, Mercy, allow me to answer this question using this presentation. There are so many questions here about the transition. And this is AIC. This AIC will be shared, but allow me to say like this. I did say in the morning, if you got a B1 or you got a partial B1, for example, you got an A here. You can see this presentation, right? So if you got an A here, in the annex, the regulation requires you to do basic engineering, airframe, aeroplane, human factors, and all that. So this you did while you are getting your A. The authority has done a segregation and mapped what you could have done during your module. And so you'll be given a A1 with a B1.1. Then the modules that you have already covered are listed here. Then, for you now to be able, for the holder of category A license to convert to B11, then you'll be required to do module number 15 and module number 17. That is propeller and gas turbine engines. So ladies and gentlemen, when you receive this document, you'll be able to map what you should do to get what you don't have. A Cat C guy will be able to get B1 with the limitation C, but for you to get a C, then you're supposed to do one module, module 11 alpha. Alpha because there is a Bravo and a Charlie. So ladies and gentlemen, this document explains your questions. And for our brothers who are in avionics, brothers and sisters, you know, even the Bible comes, somebody comes first. Now, here, for the instrument guys, you'll be able to do a module 13, module 14, a submodule within module 13. That is 13.8. So this document shows what module or submodule you should do for you to be able. So this information is covered here, ladies and gentlemen. So yes.
And that submodule is what differs with the normal examination you have done outside there. So to cater for our people, we had to split that module to become a sub-module. So you may not find it anywhere else with a sub-module, but it's meeting all the requirements.
Okay, to you, sir.
And my name is Mutathori, and it has been stressed, it has been stated earlier by the authority that the regulation 2013, regulations 2013 are in force. And recently, in the last 1 or 2 years, we have had findings from audits of KCA who make, and the findings make reference to 2018 regulations. Maybe you could clarify that, whether there are some parts of regulation 2018 which are still in force and 2013 still in force. And the other one is the light aircrafts, the e-notice, as you have mentioned, that most likely for people who may not have courses on certain aircrafts, light aircrafts, which are well under A2 notice, would require that they have a course. These are some of the aircrafts which are operated in this country from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and maybe some of the older generation who are here were licensed on all these things under notice A2. And I know this requirement for the OEM training came in 2018 regulations. And so therefore, would this regulation therefore be acted retrospectively, because all those people who are signing these aircrafts had been rated, licensed and rated by a recognized authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mutodhori. Those are quite weighty questions. I will request our director to maybe respond to them.
Thank you, Engineer Mutodhori. I think when it comes to your first question on the regulations, KCAA, that's the government now, we are operating on 2013 regulations for personnel licensing only. We have 39 sets of regulations, rules of the air, personnel licensing among the many. So we have the approved maintenance organization regulations, the famous AMO, and we have personnel licensing. So it is only personnel licensing that when the regulations were promulgated in 2018, that we remained behind, and only for regulation number 5(9), which touches on aircraft maintenance engineers licensing system in Kenya. We never moved. But every part of that personnel licensing regulations of 2018 are applicable. Those are pilots, flight dispatchers, and anybody else outside engineers. And why Kenya could not transit is because of the system you are seeing that we never put in place as a state. So now we believe we are ready to move. And of course, discussions with all the other government bodies and agencies, they are aware that we never complied with this specific regulation. Now that we are ready, then we need to move to ensure compliance with this regulation. That is for the regulation. The findings given to you could be emanating from the maintenance organization regulations, which are under 2018 currently. So we need to separate two things: the personnel licensing, the person and the license, and separate from the AMO certification and privileges. So the other issue that you have raised is on the training. That could have been an old aircraft, could be a small aircraft, which if you see the AIC 723, we have introduced specific or grouping type rating in there. So in there, we have also grouped the aircraft. We have the first group 1, group 2, group 3, for sure. Every Kenyan registered aircraft, we have 610. All of them, we've checked. Each of them, we've accounted for every head by registration number. So we know that they fall in that grouping that we have published in the IC. So if you come and say, I have a Cessna 150 for training, and I want to sign it, release, in that grouping, it's very clear that you've been given 3 options. 1, you either do the type rating class, the type training, which has 4 elements, or you do the theory and practical. There's a way the AIC has indicated the 3 options for sure. Each of those aircraft, leave alone the non-type certificated, the Kitfox and others, those ones are different, but we are saying the type certificated aircraft. For sure, they will fall in any of those groups. So we are seeking from engineers, can we also be very flexible and adopt the change that is coming? Let's embrace it. Thank you. So it's catered for engineers.
Support the director. We know that this new system is better for everyone. However, I know there will be challenges about the A2, but I'll urge our avionics team and our avionics engineers to remember, without being recorded, that we endorsed A2 in an error. We endorsed a procedure, but it's okay, it's valid. We endorsed a procedure and not what we were supposed to endorse what the procedure say. But we made an error to endorse the procedure. The procedure gives you on how to do something, like the same way we did for A and C. But for avionics, we ended up endorsing the procedure. So that's why we have had the challenges. However, we acknowledge, and as we said, no one will lose the privileges. We have created, and in AIC, the director have mentioned, there is provision for aircraft below 2,000 kg. In the new system, there is B3 license for aircraft below 2,000 kg. Cadre engineers, dealing with the piston, look at it and come forward so that we clear all this backlog that has been there.
Thank you, John. Before we go back to the floor, there is another question. It reads, the delay on Pell examination processing. How will this be addressed since a process that took hours before now takes weeks? What action will be taken on that? And I'll give that to Manager Personnel Licensing to address that question. Thanks.
Thank you, Dasta. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Dirango. Mayor, we acknowledge that we have some shortcomings as far as AML exams are concerned. And before I continue, for those who have come late, my name is Julius Sioka, Manager Personnel Licensing. And it is something that you are going to address. It's being addressed also through internal checks and balances to ensure that there is efficiency. And we acknowledge we have one or two issues, but it's through the support of DASA and TG, we are sorting out. And we remember we used to take about 5 years, 6 years before the exams are marked and the results are being given. We reduced them to almost a month. It came down to about 2 weeks. And perhaps sometimes you realize the results are out. It's only that the candidates have not collected their results. But remember, the DG talked about automation also, where everything is going to be done automatically. Once you sit for your exams, you'll be able to receive your results. But for the time being, because we still do manual and semi-automation, we are addressing that issue. Perhaps DASA is able to comment about more inspectors and more personnel who are going to be recruited to be able to boost Pell so that that issue is addressed once and for all. I submit.
I want to thank our manager, Julius Nzioka. I think where the issue came in is there was a shift, as I told you. Airworthiness Department has been processing personnel licensing applications for a few years now. I think I would say 15. Now, over time, the department has improved. And when we were stabilizing, then we moved the function to where it belongs. ICAO requires the function to be carried out by personnel licensing. So then in the shift during the transition is where we've had real challenges, and what we want to assure you that as much as the point of contact will continue being personnel licensing, there is a program drawn by Airworthiness and Flight Ops, Airworthiness and personnel licensing, to work together and to get support, to continue getting support from Airworthiness. So members, in the few weeks coming, let's know if you have any issue. The office of DASA is very open in case you have any challenge, but we are improving on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Being reminded that we are running short of time. This session was to end at 12:30. We are 12:24. We will do what we can for now. So I'm going to move back to this side. One question here, one question here, maybe two. Then we can close the session. Please allow us to do that. Thanks.
Your question has been answered. Don't ask it again because we don't have time. In case your question has been clarified somehow, please don't repeat. And if you have a question, please use the shortest time possible so that we save on time. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. I don't know, I'm not sure whether mine was addressed, but I'll just go straight to the point. You had indicated that there are 4 ways for an engineer to get into, there are 4 channels that an engineer can follow on towards getting their license. That was through an AMO, an ATO, tertiary institutions, and an AOC. So I just wanted to find out how will the AOC be able to support this? And then my second question is, I have not heard us mention a military channel. And we know that we get quite a number of engineers from the military side. Is there any way that you can be able to include that as well? Thank you.
Yes, remember we differentiated between skill and experience, and we said in terms of skill, people have to do assessors and all that. So for the AOC, there are people who are licensed, but in the AOC side, so they have an aircraft, they are also doing maintenance by themselves. Remember, ICAO annexes allows an AOC to do some of their maintenance by themselves. We have got head of maintenance, all that. So the AOC having their own DG if they are doing the maintenance, so the assessors and the supervisors there, they can be able to sign the logbook. The other question was the military. We did indicate military there, right? We indicated that the experience from the military will also be recognized. Remember, the military people, they do also the aspect of airworthiness. In future, we are trying to see then how can they be linked to us, to the civil. So yes, the military is there. Even currently, at some point only it became crafty a little bit. We used to recognize at some point the military experience, but there was a snag.
Again, as I go take the microphone, there's somebody who is asking how much is a logbook and where can they get it?
Yeah, the logbook is available. The price was attached. There was a figure that was attached to it. It used to be 5,000. The logbooks are available. The initial, they're about 1,000 copies or something. Yes, they are there. So they will be at the PEL office when we confirm all this. Thank you.
I'll try to be brief as I can. My question is there any limitation to validity of experience? As because some of the students may have ventured into different fields and may want to come now sit the modular. If they did an experience probably like 3 years ago, is it still valid for the?
I would say yes and no. We've said for the modular examination, you don't need the experience. You come with zero experience, you do the examination. Then you do the skill. Then now the experience comes in. According to the ICAO requirements, the annex and our requirements, the experience must be recent. 24 hours, 24 months, of which 6 must be recent.
Good afternoon. My question is about those people who have Cat A and C license and Compass license. Will they get a B1 and B2, especially since Compass is not type specific? Will they need to be type rated to continue with the Compass privilege? A second question.
Okay.
Because Mr. Ndirangu mentioned the syllabus is the same. If I've done some modules and an EASA ATO, can it be recognized by KCA? Thank you.
First question. Internationally, where are the B2 guys? Yes, the B2. The Compass, let me just answer it directly. You'll not be given B1 and B2. But what you'll be given is a B1. And you remember there is a page I indicated with special authorization. Some page there, number 6. So we will have an endorsement there for Compass, but it will be limited with some limitations. So that's why I was saying no engineer is left behind. Whatever you have, we will have it somewhere to put with some requirements. About examination, the ones that you've done out, the direct answer, no, we will not recognize them. But remember, we have not authorized that ATO to do examination or work on behalf of this authority. But if you already have a license from there, yes, you'll undergo a conversion. But for the immediate answer, no, we will not do that. But if there are those cases, in future, we will need first come. You know, one of the problems that, let me just mention this as a by the way, we have engineers who go train in unauthorized, unapproved training organizations. And then they come presenting the certificates. Then they go out saying the CA have refused to recognize our certificates. That is not true, because first you did not come to the CA to be given a clearance for you to go and do those trainings. If your question is not answered correctly, you remain behind, we will sort it out.
Okay, before we get another question, there's another question online, Alex. Pardon with me, there's another AMO that does standard IRO. There's a question that goes like this.
We put it this way, it's a no. And so it's a no. So the aging courses that probably someone will do, you will still continue to do those specialized aging courses, but they are not, they don't qualify for type rating. They qualify for AMO specialization in whatever you do and empowering you as an engineer.
Just to bring to your attention, we are 2 minutes past our cutoff time, but we have another session starting 12:30 to 1 p.m. That is AOB. We're going to borrow 3 minutes or 5 minutes of that so we can maybe talk more.
Yes. Can you start your licensing program while you are still at school?
Yes. Only with your ID and some money in your pocket.
So thank you. My name is Simon, and I have a background in engineering and software. So my question was, let's say I'm doing what I'm not hearing you talking about is the maybe engineering services. Maybe someone like me goes and work maybe on a, not a drone, those pilots, the ones that pilot go to yeah? Simulator, yeah, very correct. A simulator. So can I work for that maybe for 3 years, then come now sit for license? As much as I was not going to do something to do with the aircraft, I'm part of the engineering services, something like that. So thank you.
The direct answer is no. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, for experience, you are required to work in an airworthy operating aircraft. So the simulators, you can use them for training, but the whatever is happening there will not be documented as experience. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Daniel Geshoke. My question is, and apart from it being a question, is a recommendation in regards to the modular structure of examinations that you intend to carry out. If you look at the rest of the world, the way it does, there are areas whereby they have ATO specifically that to conduct the modules. Does KCA envision in future to have ATOs that are approved to carry out the examination modules on behalf of the CA?
Yes, because you mentioned future, the answer is yes.
Okay, another question.
Okay, 2 questions. Currently, when you fail one of the exams, when you're doing the license, you have to wait for 3 months. On the new AML license, do you have to wait for 3 months?
The answer is yes.
Number 2, it's so easy for someone with FAA or EASA license to come and do conversion. We do harmonize for us to convert. When you go to EASA, you can do a conversion instead of a new license.
Just repeat your second question.
When someone does the license from EASA and comes to do conversion here, it's so easy for someone to do conversion. But now, when you have this B1, B2, it's there where you can harmonize. When you want to do the EASA, then you can do conversion again on the same.
Yes, we cannot answer yes or no, because that one, it will depend on that state. But one of the reasons as to why we are doing this is to have that level of an understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, let me digress a little bit. We have our brothers and sisters who go outside Kenya, and the license in Kenya is not recognized completely, including the type courses. So they're being told to restart. If you go to UAE today, our country is not listed in any of their categories of licenses recognized because of a system. Not like the way John said earlier, we have maybe over-examined our engineers, but because of the system is not working out. So we are hoping that after we move to the system, so-called the B1 and the B2, then it might be easier for the other states, EASA, to recognize and have it easier for our engineers also to convert. But this new system is not for engineers to leave Kenya. We are not doing this for you to say that now we are going. No, we are only improving our system to ensure we got a certain level of understanding internationally.
Thank you, Mayor. There's one question here.
Hello. I think most of us have tried to touch on this. We have an issue with a small aircraft. Don't know what KCA or the authority will do so that we get rated on this small aircraft. Initially, we had only one training school, one training organization who used to train people on small aircraft. But the issue is, once you come to KCA, they will tell you that the training organization or the training school is not authorized to do that, while they got the authority from the KCA to train people. I don't know if I can mention the training.
No, don't mention.
Because we have an issue with that for small aircraft, not anything much.
Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for annex number 1. Annex number 1 deals with the engineer and his licenses. Madam Dasa here mentioned, don't confuse between the annex 6, 8, and 1. Now, for the training that we're talking about, the engineers need to go to approved training organizations. It's up to the responsibility of the AMO, the AOC, and the engineer himself to ensure that whenever they're going to train, it's a proper school, and they need to see the requirements of the CA to ensure that when you come back, are you going to be able to be endorsed? It is your responsibility. Remember, you are the owner of the YKC. However, you realize that what Madam Dasa mentioned on the AIC, you have an option of doing KCA examination. And I did indicate earlier, for those, if you have an issue as a person or as an AMO, come to the CA. We'll contact the OEM, because it is wrong for an OEM to continue supporting an aircraft without defining the kind of training that is required. So we will contact their home country, the state of design approval, and I will ask them, man, how come you have an aircraft flying and there is no training? After we do all that, we'll be able now to tell you the OEM said there is training in Canada. Go Canada train. If there is no training, then the CA, through their experts, we will set you an exam for the type. Then you'll come do the exam. Then we will have you go through a practical skill test for you to have an endorsement. So what I'm saying is there is an answer to your problems, provided there is supporting documentation. John wanted to add something.
Yeah, in regard to typos, I noted that this is the right forum for us to clarify one of the biggest challenges we have had, and some people have probably felt that there is favoritism at KCA. When you go to USA or any other country to do a type course, kindly, when you are selecting the course, be keen to note whether that training qualify for the issuance of a type endorsement. Majority, can see John here, he is a witness. Although he comes from America, he had to go back and do a training there. Because we normally lie to them and we ask them, can you confirm that this training conducted on this date on this person qualify for issue? Remember, they have different type. Qualify for issue, qualify for renewal. In most cases, you may have attended same class or same time with your colleague in another AMO. He comes here, we endorse. But you bring your certificate, we tell you doesn't qualify. It's because if you read the small details there, it's written for renewal. So you're not doing a renewal, you're doing an issue. Please, when selecting, make sure you check that keenly.
Good afternoon. My name is Wilson from Lady Lore. The logbook which was just passing around here, quick review on item section 1.3 is about employment record. And I have seen you have just given me just 2 columns, 2 employers. What happens if I work for more than 1 employer? Where am I supposed to record? Is it supposed to be here or is it supposed to be somewhere else? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good question. The answer is indicate the most recent one and attach the rest. Remember, let me just add on what, when IOD asked about the attaches. Remember, we are talking about experience that has been certified, has been endorsed by an assessor. So if while you are doing your attachment, there was an assessor and a supervisor in that organization, so they did what? They certified your book. And that's why I was saying, even at school, without being employed as a student, you can still fill your logbook. So maybe in future, when you're doing a reissue, we will add more columns because many of you like moving from one company to the other. No, that was on a light note, but just document. But when you are sending your document, you can attach the many, because it's all about proving experience, you can attach as many as possible. But in the next issue, how many do you want to put? A direct answer, a number. What is your proposal? Okay, 5.
We take that as feedback. We will consider
All right.
when we... Last question from the floor, please.
A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Isaac, and I do have 2 questions with me. The first question is about the cost. I heard you talk about transitional cost only, but you never mentioned on how much it will cost for someone who is planning to do the basic engineering, maybe the modular, how much will it cost? The second one is about logbook. Okay, there's some of us who are planning to sit for the basic engineering license, and we had filled the old L85 Alpha. So can we transfer the content into the new logbook?
The first answer is that, remember John had already explained that, being the government entity, we cannot start changing fee without having what is called a stakeholder engagement. So at the moment, if in case you are in a rush and you want to do your exams as soon as these TGMs are out, which will be published, then you will pay the previous fee. The previous fee for the examination. But soon we'll be having a stakeholder engagement, so that we'll be able to agree on the new fee that will be charged per module. Because now there will be 17, so we'll have to do that engagement. We are also guided by government policies. So for now, that will happen. The other thing is, remember, we said 2 ways of doing this. One is during renewal. So when you're coming to renew your license, then you will pay, you will add a fee. Maybe by then we could have said it's 5,000. I'm not saying it's 5,000, but you could have paid the normal 3,000. Then you will add a fee to it during renewal. Then you'll get your new issue. But reissue, as John has been insisting, then you have to pay that fee. So we will leave that one at that because we are guided by some policies when it comes to money. The other question is about the logbook, transferring from the previous. What is the answer, people? Who wants to answer? Mosa, what do you want to say? Transfer? Let's see. Yes? All right, I need a yes, no answer. Transfer? Okay, yes, no. What's your answer? Okay, another no, yes answer from that side? Yes. No, this is the story. The annex requires the student or an applicant, I'm quoting the annex, must have demonstrated. So, the assessor signing to demonstrate means what? Must have. So is it a yes or a no? It's a no.
I believe it's a yes, cause what about if you can access the one who sent for you?
If it will be an assessor. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, you must have demonstrated. And the logbook has got defined tasks to be done. So, in case you are able to get the one who demonstrated when and where, remember, I only saw this in Kenya, where people do the type training, then they go back to do the basic. This one happens in Kenya. In other words, you don't, because it's like you are skipping the rope. How can you go now do a basic ATA 25, yet you don't know what is this ATA 25, which should have been covered during the basic. So you appear to be having a personal issue. Come see us as a person, we will sort it out.
Yeah, I will take those. There's another question on where you can access the TGMs. All technical guidance material are available on our website. And if they are not, they're going to be available very soon. So you go to KCA, www.kca.or.ke, you will find all the information there. There's a burning question.
Is it possible for you to share the slides that you took us through?
We are going to share the slides. We have them already. Somebody had requested. You will have access to them. No, Mr. Ayodi, no. But you will get the slides, plus the AC.
The transition of engines to B1, will that also include the APU for that applicable aircraft, if applicable?
The APU, what is the answer? Yes. You guys, you like yes a lot.
No.
Yeah, we have noted, ATA 49 is part of an aircraft training, right? So when you got your B37 and CFM 56, have you covered the APU? So will it appear on your license that you have done PS 300 whatever? Right.
Yes, the answer. I give it back to you. Maybe do you have questions? Because we are on AOB. We have only 10 minutes for AOB according to our program. Then we can close the meeting.
There are so many questions here. But I've seen one which is very important for us to discuss. Let me pick this up because it's affecting a lot of AMOs, and it's important for us to do this. What happens to type courses that were done in an AMO? In other words, somebody did what is called a training program. They came to the CA. They said, you know what? We have a Cessna 127, and we want our engineers to train within our AMO. There is a limitation to that they can only be approved within your AMO, only within your AMO. So are they going to be endorsed in your license? Good. So whenever you plan to train internally, remember, those are internal authorizations, and first you need to have your documents approved here and have a procedure on how you're going to do it with all that. Madam Mercy, I think this is the most important one here, because others, they are repeating. A number of them, they are asking, somebody asked about a photo. This will be in the new issue when we'll be having the digital operations. We'll have a photo there. ICAO does not mandate. The other one is, what should I get, Cat A or C turbine? Now, what happens is, I've also seen questions on helicopter, or rather the rotor. The rotor, if you got A and C helicopter, it means you have a full coverage. That means you'll be given a B1, depending on the type of engine. So it will be either 1.3 or B1.3, B1.4. So the B1 we are talking about, for those who are doing the rotor aircrafts, they will be covered under the B1, but now a different decimal. Yeah, so that is important. So Mercy, maybe you need to conclude.
Okay.
Because we are stewards of time.
Let me pick it up from Mayor, and I stand up here so you can all see me for a purpose. I want to ask one question. Does any one of us feel or is objecting in a way that they are not comfortable with us transiting to the new licensing system? Who feels they are not comfortable? so we can try to make you comfortable, because the authority is really ready to move with this. Are we happy? Are we okay? Are we ready? We are putting our country in the map of the world, licensing wise. So we really need to move together. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your presence today. And please, the policy here at KCA, our doors are open. If you feel there's a question we've not answered to your satisfaction, we have an office on ground floor, personnel licensing. Go ask your question there. If you feel you've not been answered satisfactorily, you can call us. I know you have our numbers. We will help you. So open door policy applies for this new project we are starting and kicking off today. We have eaten a lot of time on AOB, but I'll not close it before I ask who has an AOB. A burning question, AOB. We will take 3 maximum because of time. So I have a gentleman up there. Maybe we'll start there.
Maybe we could prefer the person who did not ask a question
Yes,
to
please.
be the one.
Yes,
to do
please.
AOB.
Let's be fair. Because now we are done with Q&A. Further Q&As, you walk into the authority, we will resolve any problem you have.
So thank you. My question is, let's say a pilot comes with a snag and the problem he or she is facing requires a solution dealing with software. So personally, I've done software. So the difference between the engineer who is outside the hangar and me, there is no difference because I'll come up with the solution. So what are the provisions are you providing someone who is not on the field, actually maybe touching oil, but I'm also providing the solution as much as, so I'm an engineer, but I'm not licensed. So how can you now address that? Thank you.
Hey, one meeting people. Because of time, let me answer the gentleman directly. That do not work on an aircraft if you cannot certify the aircraft, or you're not under supervision of an engineer who will certify. So that is the position. It might not be a very good answer for you, but that is the regulatory requirements of engineers. That the person working on an aircraft, either you are to release the aircraft yourself, or if you're doing loading of the aircraft. So many people even, let me not mention, in some airlines, we have what is called engineering development. Who will come to the aircraft, do the loading and everything, but they will not release that aircraft to service. There is a difference. This guy, that's why initially I'd said YKC holders, right? But we recognize this stakeholder who is also a support staff. But unfortunately, there is someone who has to release that work, right? So the best thing, what they are doing, most of them currently, they are also going into getting the licenses. So maybe you can venture into that so that you can load and sign off.
We hope soon we will have a design department so that we can also take care of that knowledge. We had a question on offer up of responsibility. And yes, it's back. By the annex. So that will be catered for in the documents that we have issued, and we will clearly indicate when you can exercise that privilege.
Yeah, any AOB which is not personal. Yes, Bwana Kaundu.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not really banging, so
Mosa can call it.
Mine is a suggestion.
Yes.
We've written so many questions. I can see the gentlemen have a huge bunch of what we wrote. May I propose that they be looked at and be populated somewhere where we can read and get the feedback of what we asked, because what they have done is sampling. There are some questions which may not look very important to them, but they are very important to whoever asked them. Please, can you see whether that can be done?
Yes, sir. That's why we had this QR code to try and go digital. It will be easier for our inspectors here, Maundu and Albert and others, to evaluate them. Apart from that, I did mention there is a committee that is going to look on all this feedback before the release of the TGMs. So anything that is here which is process-based and it's good for us or good for Kenya, it will be considered. So good suggestion, but somehow sorted.
Okay, with that, I just need to clarify something about the TGMs. Once we've documented these inputs, weighed, discussed it, and see what is beneficial to all of us, included in the TGM, then we can roll out the documents on our website. That closes our AOB. I hope I've not closed anyone out of AOB or asking a question. I will hand it back to Mayor so he can give us the way forward before we close the meeting.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, all those who did not say. And remember, time is a limited commodity, as they say in business. But somebody decided to write away from what we had said because he had a lot of questions. Allow me to handle this one because he decided to, maybe it's she, I don't know. How can Kenya expedite on approving local overhaul shops of aircraft components in Kenya? Since even minor metal and so many stories, KCA, he also gave a solution. KCA needs to minimize on bureaucracy and now this one now it needed some CBC to read. Now this is the story. Remember we are dealing with annex number? Yeah, so currently if you have an issue with the certification of your organization, come to the office of airworthiness in the authority. The office will be able to sort you out. There are those things that we don't do in Kenya. We are looking into incorporating them into the system. And so if you got suggestions, bring them forward so that will be included. Before I welcome Madam Dasa to close this meeting with a word, and then we will go back to one of our members called Dickens. We'll want you to know him. He will close this meeting with a word of prayer after Madam Dasa. I want to recognize the support and the contribution that has been done by an organization called KAAO. KAAO is Kenya Association of Air Operators. We've been having some meetings. They have asked questions on behalf of the AOC, the ATOs, and many other people. I know some of you might be coming from organizations who are not members, but because a number of Kenyan operators, they are members there. So we want to say that we've been having members. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we were also here with experts, including their CEO, who is Liz Aluvanze, and also the director, board member in the CA. They have been having meetings also with the KAO chair, who is Mbuvi Nguze. So we want to recognize that and their secretariat. We've been having a lot of discussions of all that we've been doing today. So we salute them, and we will talk with the engineers. This weekend, there was a meeting for air traffic. What do you call them? Yeah, they have an association called like that. That one. So I've not suggested anything. I've only said the air traffic controllers, they have a recognized and professional association. Recognized and professional. Not an association for noise making, but professional. So I'll leave that for those, my mother used to tell me, for those who've heard they've done what? Yes. So till here, we want to report back to the management. We want to say that we are moving. And so you'll be saying these things. The way forward is all that you've said, all that the inspectors have, we will read all of them. For those who have individual issues with the licenses, delays, integrity, the problem is engineers, they don't want to come forth and say, I was doing an exam and the examiner said something, because they think it will impact their getting the license. That is not true. So if you've got an issue with an inspector, you've got an issue with an examiner, please come forward and set. So way forward, we will do all that we've done. We'll have a meeting with the committee, and we are hoping in the next maybe 14 or 21 days, we'll be able to roll out the TGMs online, and then we'll be able to have the B1, the B2, the A license examination is ready, and every other thing done. So
sorry, Mayor, I think there is one question that Madam feel we should respond. Someone has asked whether, in our opinion as the authority, are we foreseeing a possible lacking shortage of licensed personnel, which may be brought about by elimination? And I'll read directly the way it's written. I'm thinking this new licensing system will possibly make a lot of licensed individual export skills outside. That question we will forward to the owners of the AMO. It's your responsibility to develop engineers that will take over, because movement cannot be restricted by the authority. However, allow me to mention that during the tenure of Madam Dasa as mayor, she had directed and tried to improve the system in a way that we have seen a huge increase of licensed engineers. With this new system, with the current mayor and MPL, you have seen even the number of, we have changed a lot, including the modular section of the current examination, where even if you do one license, one exam, ARO, and you pass, we credit that. Through that, we have also talked to designated examiner. We have changed our marking schemes to try and increase the number. And we are confident that we have enough graduates that will take your role if you want to go. We don't want you to go, but if you go, we will make the system in a way that we produce as many licensed engineers, but then our designated examiner, our seniors, it's your role to train the young people so that they will take after you.
Thank you so much. I've been told that we got the CEO of which company did I say earlier? KAAO. The director, Liz, send the rep, which is Mr. Madip here. Please just salute to the congregation. This is a congregation. Is the yes? You want to say something? This is on behalf of the CEO of KAAO. Is Mr. Engineer Madip.
Yeah. So. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mandeep, and I'm a director, board member at KAO. I wanted to register the apologies of our chairman, Mbuvi Ngonze, and CEO Liza Levanze. We're very grateful to the KCAA, the chair, Bona Ondege, and DG, DASA, Manager Airworthiness, and Manager Pell. We're grateful for this sitting involving us, including the hard work that KAO has put into arriving here with you, and we hope there'll be a positive outcome from this. Thank you very much.
Shukran. Till here, if you've remembered a question, don't go home with it, write and leave it behind. Now we welcome the Director, Aviation Safety and Security, to make her last, because you guys came late a little bit, so we are 4 minutes into the time. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much. I really want to say that I'm proud. Look at this room. Should have taken a picture. I hope somebody has taken mine, leave alone for the social media. It shows how engineers have gone through hell. And now, today, for me, I feel we have, I don't know what to say. I'm excited. I've been there. I was also doing exams some years back, many years back. And the marking of exams, delays, everything. Mr. Mutodori is there. Was an airworthiness inspector then, doing everything. Fred Opot, some of us, Mr. Fred, I want to say something on a light note that applicants in this room, about 20%, still write to KCA instead of addressing the Director General. They address to Mr. Fao. Fao is Fred Agri-Opot. Please, let's stop it today. Address the DG. Fred is here with us. We've been honoring you until this morning when we received the COV applications. So that's what it meant. Number two, what we have discussed, really. You can see the team KCA has employed. They are very energetic, very strong and very upright and knowledgeable to steer this. We may not have the numbers internally, but the numbers are here. The DG said clearly that soon we will be advertising for something that is for designees to come on board. Currently, we have 15 examiners, which we got them on board through a well-structured manner. And we are happy to have Engineer Sati here, who's been imparting knowledge. We have Ongaya Kingsley. Who is the other examiner? Moha. Can you start your conversion today? So that as we go to the others, we have all of you number one. So we really thank you for supporting KCA. This will be open. Most of us will be applying. If you see the advert tender, it's a procurement process. If you think you meet those requirements, apply and be a resource to KCA so that the authority can delegate some of its functions to you. But KCA will continue being responsible in the end. I want to confirm that KCA does not have an agent. Neither does KCA have a broker between you, the engineers and the maintenance personnel, and us here. Come straight. I think you've taken tea and you've seen we have welcomed you. So anybody in between acting to be on behalf of this licensed engineer category A, stop it today, engineers. If you have a question, come to KCA. If you cannot drive, log in online. The DG has promised that we'll be getting an automated system very soon from Sibari. And that is where we will be meeting so that we also save some fuel for you, driving, coming. So we've heard you. We've listened to you. Go and spread the word for those who never came. Tell them we are here. In government, they have hierarchy. I am the director, managers, inspectors. All of us are very important in this process. If you are stuck, please, we are in 4th floor. Come there. The door is also open so that if you have a challenge that you feel the manager could not and the inspectors, don't die alone. Bring it to us. I believe you have our email with the DG and you have our telephone numbers. Reach out to us anytime, but not, of course, at night. For those who will be releasing the aircraft at night, just stay online. And I think from the tone, you can read that aircraft maintenance will strictly be checked in line with Annex 1 for engineers licensing. So any monkey business, we all stop it together. Because when we talk about integrity and say KCAA, you are also giving us something. So when we receive, why is it bad? It takes 2 people to do something. So then we are saying, can you also stop giving it to that person? And when we talk about integrity, it's not about money. Even serving others in the queue before the other, that is lack of integrity and ethics. So then we are saying, let's work as a family. The regulation empowers you to report to KCA, even in anonymous, on any vice that you feel is hindering the process offered to the citizens of Kenya. KCA is the only place you can go for aircraft personnel licensing. If you go to Ministry of Water, they will send you here. If you go to State House, here. So can we just work together as a team, as a family, to make sure that we have a good system that is foolproof and acceptable in the world? Because the aircraft you're signing will land in Amsterdam. Not only Masai Mara. Even in Masai Mara, the community there are waiting for a very good aircraft and they are trusting you that you are that person. Do you know Wanjiko in the regulation, in the constitution? Wanjiko is in the land, in the farm there. You saw that helicopter which landed somewhere, Nanyuki, because of weather. It was a nice one. Why? Because Wanjiko was busy in her farm doing her potato. And she saw something dropping. And Wanjiko was like, what's wrong with you people? And the pilot was saying, and the child, it's normal. We normally go through this route. Today the weather was very bad. I believe that Wanjiko doesn't know anything about aircraft completely. But you are that engineer. You are that maintenance personnel. You are equally very, very important in that aircraft maintenance process. From the beginning to the end, we have people in technical records. ICAO has also incorporated them. We have people in the stores manning the spare parts. If you have a spare part that gets into the aircraft that is a bogus part, do you think even when you have good engineers, that aircraft will be airworthy? It will not. So this is a whole ecosystem. So we need to change our mindset. Let's change ourselves and be better people. For the employers in the room, I'm leaving a quote for you that in looking for people to hire, look for 3 qualities. 1, integrity, intelligence, and energy. And if they don't have the first, the other 2 will kill you. This is by Warren Buffett. So any employer in the room, including yourself, be a person of integrity in this whole process that KCA is launching. The assessor, don't go to River Road and fill the logbooks today. You will have lost integrity. So let's just have a good process for all of us that is foolproof. We acknowledge that we will, for sure, take on board what you've given us. Somebody has said, George Kaundu, that we share. We will share. We will publish the way we normally do for the regulations. So we will code this into soft, and then we give answers. We also give you a matrix form, how we have incorporated them. Those that we never incorporated, we will also say as such and why, the reason why. So you've been heard, engineers, we look forward, maintenance personnel, we look forward to engaging you in other forums like this. Please, even when we are doing the regulations, can we see you turn up? We want to hear your voice, engineers, because you cannot be the ones telling us that AMOs are doing this, AOCs are doing this, and when we are in those discussions, where engineers are supposed to be heard, you are nowhere. And the employer is just coming to tell you, for head of maintenance, you don't need a license and you are happy. You know what it means? So that is why the Constitution of Kenya requires stakeholder engagements, discussions, agreement on the table, so that what comes out is also acceptable to you. Let's not only allow Gen Z, let's support everybody. So that when they are also speaking, those young ones, they are our children. They are seeing that there is a problem. Can we also see that there is a problem and we come with solutions together? So members, that is what we are seeking as KCA going forward. Our doors are wide open. We are open. And for me, I'm going to rest peace because what we started in 2021 has come to pass. Mayor, we will support you and the team, and the DG is very glad to host you again. I submit. Thank you, members, and God bless you.
Good afternoon again. We have finished the Annex 1 issues, and so this brings us to the end of the meeting today, ladies and gentlemen. Let me mention something about Annex 8, where we belong. Here we were doing we were on loan on Annex 1, in quotes, Ampel, yes. We have been doing, this is loan, now we are back home, now we are playing home. Ladies and gentlemen, because of these Annex 1 changes, we'll be having a meeting for Annex 6 and 8. This is a question in the new air law. So you need to know which is Annex 6 and which is Annex 8. So we'll be calling, where are those post holders for AMOs and AOCs who are here? Yes. There will be a communication about there will be a meeting now to discuss how this will be affecting you people, so that you also get aligned. Part of the discussions will be about the continuous training. There's somebody who is seated somewhere, it's called the Kolima. Kolima, I salute you. If you are the Kolima, many might not understand this, but it's okay. The story here is continuation training has been an issue. We need to talk about issues to do with what is this continuation training, recurrence training, and which other one? Refreshers. We'll be able to think if you need actually to go to a school to do this kind of trainings, or what does the law say, and all that, because there has been a misinterpretation of some of those things. The other thing will affect now the B2 guys. We have to say this information. There has been also a misinterpretation that if you are qualified on B2, you can sign anything. The annex requires you to train on specific what? Aircraft. So we'll be able to discuss and see where do we draw a line. We'll also be talking about the AOC support and the COVs, the time of application, because many of the post holders, they don't report back correctly to the CEOs. So they apply for a COV in the morning. Then that is when you see the chairman of that company walking in the corridors of CAA saying, I've just come to say hello to you people, because the COV is not ready. With so many stories, you know, we have a contract in Somali, we have a contract in Juba, we're going to lose it. And the quality manager and the engineers have not released the aircraft. So we're going to talk about these timelines, including the AMO timelines, that you need to apply minus 60 days and to do everything that is required without running in the corridors of CAA. If you got any question, let me give you the number of the airworthiness manager, 0720. 0720, this is the CAA airworthiness manager, 0720 74 11 63. You call if you have applied on time. Yes, because if you apply late, we'll also consider you as a late comer. So the rule of law will apply across the board, whether you are the senior or the junior. We've been having people call and say, you know, I was there. You know, I know this. We have been doing this. It has been happening. This will also touch on the aircraft acceptance and registration. So ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end. And why I requested Bernard Dickens to pray for us is the main custodian of this Annex 1 after MPEL. This is Dickens Magak. For those who have been calling a ghost called Magak, this is the real person, is the PEL inspector, and he will pray for us. If you have a question, please don't go home with it. If he wants you to say something, he can say, then we'll all stand and pray.
Good afternoon. How many have we interacted with in the last few months? You can see from the hands there, we've come a long way. We started with some teething issues. We apologize for the sluggishness, but we are improving. I still encourage you to be part of this journey. Whenever you have an opportunity to come to PEL, feel free. We sometimes do not like too much complaints. We need you to be part of our solution. So I still welcome you to come there when you have issues pertaining AMEL. Those that we can handle, sometimes we do handle them even instantly. But if it is something that we can refer, we will give you timelines within which we can operate. So a lot of changes are happening, as you can see. We are transiting, but you know, we need you involved. So do not feel bad when you come around and we are able to handle a lot of the things that we need to do. Please, we encourage you, just as the DG put it, that the solutions come from all of us. So we will try as much as possible to ensure that the industry runs. I think with those remarks, if you allow me, I will ask you to stand up so that we honor God.
Let's bow down for a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the session that we began. As we started, we invited you in our presence so that we have a successful deliberation. We thank you for this forum. We thank you for these engineers and stakeholders. We thank you for the session we have had, the discussions, the proposals, the suggestions. And Father, as we begin this journey of transition into the B1, B2 new licensing system, we want to involve you, our God. Be with every person who attended this meeting, and as we'll be moving on to transit, may you go ahead of us. As we depart from this place, Father, we ask of you, Father, to give each and every person journey mercies to wherever they are going, so that if we, by your grace, we convene such a meeting another time, Father, then we would have an opportunity to meet and discuss much more. As we depart from this place, may your glory shine upon each and every one of us, is our humble prayer in Jesus' name.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your time. Go well. Our offices are open. Our numbers are open during the day.